Focus Unleashed. This is week 6, and today we're talking about the part that everybody loves to plan for, but very few people actually follow through on, and that's execution. Because let's get real, a plan without execution is just a wish. It looks good on paper, it feels good in your head, but it doesn't change your life. Today, we're going to break down how to turn your goals into daily actions, how to set a real timeline, and how to understand exactly what it's going to take to accomplish what you say you want in 2026. So let's buckle up and let's get to work. All right, you ready? Here we go. So we're going to first talk about the big goals and breaking them down into daily actions. Because here's the truth. Big goals don't fail because they're too big. They fail because people never break them down. When you think about your goal, it can be very big and it can seem very overwhelming. I mean, think about some goals that you've had. You want to lose 20 pounds, you want to start a business, save money, build discipline, grow your brand. All that is great. I applaud anything that you want to achieve. But you really have to think about what it looks like today. We're not thinking just about the big picture. Yes, we want to see it. Yes, we want to envision it. But we have to think about today, what it's going to take to get there, and how that will build into tomorrow and the next day and the next day. Because execution lives in the daily. So when you're thinking about your big goal and how you're going to really accomplish it, you need to ask yourself, what does this goal require weekly? And what does it require daily? What is the smallest action I can take that still moves me forward? Those questions bring that big goal to the present where you currently are. And now you're basically starting to build the roadmap to get to what seems so far out in the distance. So once you can start to answer those questions, you start to build momentum, because momentum isn't built by massive effort, it's built by consistent effort. And this is what we talked about when we talked about framing the foundation, building those consistent actions. So when you think about execution, you really need to think about the words consistent and intentional, because they are two words you need to put in your daily actions. They are the building blocks. It's what the foundation was built on, and it's going to put you in a position to be successful. I think the biggest misconception is that you have to do everything all at once. And that is what creates a feeling of anxiety, feeling overwhelmed, feeling that it's out of your reach, feeling that you will never accomplish it. You don't need to do everything. You just need to do the next thing. And that builds momentum, that builds small wins, and that builds the process of you being successful. We've talked about this before. I know it sounds like a broken record, but each step is a building block on from the next one. And the foundation was the start of it. So we will always be going back to the foundation to reignite those pieces that we built, because they are going to be the bricks that we lay out in front of us to continue to build the path to our goals. So let's think about if somebody wants to lose weight. If the goal is 50 pounds, that seems like a lot. And in essence, it is a lot. But if you have an understanding that you're going to take it week by week, day by day, then that can be broken down into, I want to lose 2 ounces a day. 2 ounces a day versus 50 pounds is a whole lot more achievable in the mind, because it's smaller. The smaller the action, the more likelihood of success. The more likelihood of success for that smaller action stacks and stacks and stacks, and now becomes a bigger action. So don't get so caught up in, I want to lose 50 pounds, or I want to start a business, or I want to start a podcast. What does it look like today? What can I do today that I can build onto tomorrow to get me to where I want to be? That's what you need to ask yourself. And then once you establish that thought process, one thing that I think people fail on the most is they do not give themselves a way to hold themselves accountable. Holding yourself accountable is one of the most important aspects of achieving your goal. And if we don't have that accountability, that self-accountability, then it's easy to get off track. It's easy to get lost. And then when you're trying to figure out where you are, it's hard to gauge. That creates doubt. That creates a sense of being overwhelmed. And that creates anxiety. So how long are you going to give yourself to accomplish your goal? That question right there is where people get exposed, because they say they want the goal, but they haven't set a deadline. So when you don't set a deadline, when you don't put parameters around being successful, it goes from not being a goal and being more of a fantasy. You're hoping, you're wishing, I want, and this is the year I'm going to do it. But if somebody says, when are you going to achieve it by? I don't know, sometime this year. Yeah, that sounds good, right? But if you don't put it in perspective, if you don't say, hey, I want to achieve it in 6 months, I'm giving myself all of 2026, then you're just creating a fantasy in which you may or may not be successful. It really depends on, are you dedicated enough? Because without some accountability, without some kind of deadline, how are you going to put yourself in a position to be successful? And that is not just an overall deadline. That's a weekly deadline. That's a monthly deadline. That's a daily deadline. So having a deadline really makes you hold yourself accountable. Because think about this. If you're giving yourself 90 days, but you're working like you've got 3 years, are you serious? Are you truly serious about accomplishing the goal? You say, I've got 90 days to accomplish this, but your actions are telling people that you've got more time than what you've allotted yourself. You don't look serious and you don't feel serious. Even though you say it and even though you're going through the motions, you don't feel like you're serious about this. And you're setting yourself up for disappointment. And that leads to more doubt, increased anxiety, and really puts you in a position to where you're not going to be successful and you won't try again because you weren't successful. But you didn't hold yourself accountable. You didn't give yourself a timeline, which then caused you to be intentional and consistent with your actions. Like I said, those words are going to be around this whole year. So get used to them, embrace them, write them down, put them somewhere you see them every day because they are going to be around. So set yourself a deadline. Deadlines create urgency. Urgency creates actions, and actions create results. So it's not that you can't change the deadline. Like I said, life gets in the way sometimes, so you may have to adjust. I wanted to have it done in 6 months, but based on everything that's happened over the past 2 months, I'm going to give myself another 2 months. And that's okay. But you're still holding yourself accountable. You're not just letting it go, or you're not just going through the motions to say you're doing something, but not actually doing anything. So set the deadline, create the urgency. This is the year to do that. So let's do it with intention and consistency. So now that you know what you want to accomplish, you know what it's going to look like once you put it in action, what it takes weekly, what it takes monthly, what it's going to take daily. You give yourself a deadline to create that urgency. And one of the number one questions that you need to ask yourself, and I've said this before, what will it take to accomplish your goals? You have to know what it's going to take because it's not just about doing it. It's about putting yourself in a position to be the most successful that you can be and not thinking about what it's going to take to accomplish it. Puts you in a position to where when something comes up, you're not prepared to deal with it so that you can move on and move forward. So you really need to think about what kind of skills do you need? Do you need more discipline, more consistency, better time management, better nutrition, better boundaries? There are so many other things that you need to think about as far as what do I need from me to put me in the best position to be successful. You know yourself better than anybody. If you can't manage your time, you need to figure out a way to manage your time. Build that habit, right? We talked about habits before. Build that habit. If you need better nutrition to lose the 50 pounds, then it's time to start diving into what am I going to be comfortable with? What suits my lifestyle? And what can I be the most consistent and intentional with? I'm telling you, those words are going to be part of this process. They are the foundation of Focus Unleashed. It's really what I had to embrace as I started this podcast, as I started this year, and really working towards my goals. It was part of my 30 days of action in December. It was being consistent and intentional. And it has paid dividends as I start the year as successful as I have, and probably the most successful I've ever started a year. So embrace those words. They are part of Focus Unleashed. They will be a part of your success. So embrace them, love them, make them a part of your daily actions. But as you think about things that will help you be successful, you also need to think about your sacrifices. Think about what you can't do anymore. What things need to be eliminated from your daily life. Think about late night scrolling. Do you need to dismiss comfort? Create more uncomfortable situations instead of focusing on comfortable situations? Excuses, even people. I've said this before, and I'll say it probably 1,000 more times. Some people are not part of this journey. I know that can be hard. I know that can be painful. But some people, no matter how much you love them and how much they love you, some people will just drag you down. They will drain you of your energy. They will take the time that you need to protect, and they will put you in a position to where you won't be successful. And they don't mean to. I don't think it's a conscious thing. I think it's just where they are in their life, and they want company. So sometimes that means saying no, eliminating them for a short time until you accomplish your goal. It doesn't mean bye forever. It just means that right now I'm so focused, I can't have you as a distraction. And in a way, that's love. If they understand it, it's love. And if you can say it, it's love. So don't let things hold you back just because they're comfortable or because you love them. Think about those sacrifices you're going to have to make and be willing to make them. And then the other thing that you really need to think about is what kind of resources do you need? Do you need to surround yourself with people? Sorry. Do you need to surround yourself with people that are going to push you, challenge you, have expectation? Do you need a coach? Do you need a very detailed plan? Do you need a very detailed routine? Do you need a tracking method? Tracking methods are great for accountability, even with a deadline, which will create urgency. If there's no way to track our progress, sometimes we get lost in the fact that we're not moving as far as we want to, as I've mentioned before. So track it. It will help you see how far you've come and keep you moving forward. Who are you right now? And who do you need to become? Are you the disciplined version of you? Or do you need to become the disciplined version? Are you the focused version of you? Or do you need to become the focused version? Are you the version of you that says no to distractions? and doesn't negotiate? Or do you need to become that person? Execution lies in identity. If you ever think about when you've decided that you're going to accomplish something or you're going to change a part of your life, people always say that you've changed. It's not because you've changed. It's because they don't recognize this version. They don't recognize the version of you that protects your time, says no to distractions, and is relentlessly focused. What they're trying to say, and they don't know how to say, is that you have evolved into a more disciplined, driven, focused person. To them, that is change. To you, that's improvement. You don't rise to your goals, you fall to your habits. So by creating and understanding what you need to do to accomplish your goals, you're telling the world that you've become the person who builds habits and will be the person who does the work even when they don't feel like it. That's powerful. It's not said in words. It's not said in Facebook posts. It's said through what? Your consistent and intentional actions. People will notice. And once you feel comfortable enough to execute daily by knowing what it's going to take, giving yourself a deadline to create urgency, understanding what you have to sacrifice, who you have to be, what are the issues in your way, and what habits do you need to change to become the person that you truly want to be to accomplish the goals that you have set for yourself. That is evolution. That is powerful. No words have to be said. Everybody will see it and they will think, wow, how did they do that? That's crazy. I would have never thought they would have done that. But you did. And you did it because you were willing to execute the plan in place. One of my favorite motivational speakers, Eric Thomas, says execution is worship. And I agree with that. Execution is you worshiping the plan that you put in place. You are saying, I believe that I can accomplish the goal. I believe that my daily and intentional actions will get me there. And I believe in the path that I have set for myself. That is powerful. So as we close, let's focus on some truths. Your goals don't care about your intentions. They don't care about your motivation. They don't care about your feelings. Your goals respond to execution. So, after listening to this week, this is going to be the week where you stop planning and start doing. This is the week where where you stop wishing and start building. This is the week where you prove to yourself that you're serious about 2026. And by proving to yourself, you're putting the world on notice that 2026 is your year without saying a word. Brick by brick, action by action, day by day. This is Focused Unleashed. As always, stay focused and be ready to unleash it.